What's going on, everyone? It's KB, and I love movies. And I know you love movies too. That's why we're here. Thank you for coming back to another episode of The Conversation. I feel like I haven't done this in a while, even though it's just a little over a week, but always glad to be here. Always glad to be a part of the community, have the community join us in the chat or as a guest, as we're about to introduce our guest tonight. But before we do, just a couple of announcements. Um, First of all, after me, I'll get myself out of there. Brr, I should have put it up here. Oh, see, still learning this thing. I gotta say, people talk about, oh, this is easy to do. Not always. But anyway, as I was showing you there, we have, after us, we have Movies and Sue coming up um, with her thing, her weekly Q&A. I'm going to bring Derek in anyway. There we go. So
Hey.
behind us, we have Movies and Sue, and she's going to have her weekly live chat. And also, and you'll see this on Instagram if you follow me, this weekend, I am taking a trip over to St. Louis. And as you see right below Derek, there's a magic word that says guest. What you're not seeing is the word mystery guest. But I'm going to be joined on another episode of Open Conversation. So that's my AMA, my Ask Me Anything. If you follow me on Instagram, you will see me posting something that just says, hey, ask me a question, and my guests and myself will try to answer them this weekend. So we haven't announced the time yet. So just pay attention to Instagram if you follow me on there. I'll also post something on YouTube stories so you could see it there as well. But this lovely gentleman to my left is joining me tonight. Let me give him his proper background. His website is called Pure Hangout on Instagram and also the YouTube channel. But I like to call him the man with the handlebars. Mr. Random Rankin himself. We got Derek from Pure Hangout. What's going on, man?
Hey, thank you so much for having me on. This is awesome. Appreciate it.
I'm trying to remember back to like when I first came across you, but immediately I'm like, he's a personality. And I have a thing for being genuine because, you're a city guy, coming out of the Midwest and everything. It's like you could spot the fake real easily. And that makes you attractive to like genuine people. So I could tell from the beginning you're very genuine. So I appreciate that. And immediately I wanted to just vibe with you and talk movies and have a conversation. So
Definitely, yeah.
here we are. We are not alone. So I want to thank everyone in the chat for joining us. We still have a lot of people coming in. But let's see who's joining us. Somebody came in nice and early, saying he's here for the sweet, sweet stash party. He must be talking about you because I don't even have any wax in mine. I just groomed it up a little bit, but that's about it. Hello, Ryan. We got Adrian James there saying, hey, what's going on? We got everyone's favorite cool kid. What's Johnny watching? Saying, what's up, cool kids? Lance Jackson always on the check-in with what he's watching and his favorite movies. So Fat Albert, Shrek 2, Spider-Man 2, SpongeBob, SpongeBob SquarePants movie. One of the best musicals of the modern era, I must say. Gooby Goober Brock. And Click are his top fives. We're going to talk top fives later on. Lights, camera, action, smash that like button. I like the way he says that. And some Disney films. Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. that needs some 4K love, I think. Mighty Ducks. Pacifier. I like Vin Diesel in all the non-action films that he's in. Like I like him in Boiler Room. I like him as Groot. I like him as Iron Giant. I like him in The Pacifier. But the Dom Toretto's of the world, I'm like, could take it or leave it.
Yeah. It's
All
been
the things
years
he
since I've
wants to
watched
be known for,
Pacifier.
I could be like, I care less. Who else is joining us? We got Mizzy saying,
Let
what's
me see.
up? We got my BFF Melissa saying, good evening. Good evening to you, sweetheart.
Hello, hello.
Uh, we got Holland Oates.
Hey,
What's
Holland.
up? Lance has a question for you, so we'll come back to that. People saying hi to each other. We got Ed and Haley saying love him some pure hangout and loves him some KB. Hey kids, love you too. And loves some movies. Should be one hell of a time. We're hoping it is. Hoping it is. We got Brother Dell joining us. What's up?
How's it going?
We got my sweetheart here saying hello, my darlings. Draclina in the house as well.
Hello, hello.
We got Tony P joining us. John Doe Juggalo.
I love that name.
I know, right? Every time I see it, it's like, I don't know why. I know it's there. I know what it says, but I have to read it anyway.
Yeah.
We got Mama Blu-ray in the house. Hello, Bonnie. Thank you for joining us.
Hello, hello.
Laren.
Hey,
Laren's here
Larry.
early. He's on time. Thank you. Welcome. People saying hi to each other. I had to bring this up on Saturday because for those of you that don't know, the Rad Pack had their 1 year anniversary live stream, and they had special guests, including Middle Evolution and Collectors Club, Christian Horror, and brought in Nick from Movie AV Impulse, Cody Doodle Loves Movies, and myself for like the first segment. And I said to Garrett, I was like, if you guys are going to do your AKAs, I want to do an AKA or two. He's like, yeah, sure. I had a whole bunch of them. I was going to rattle off like 5 or 6 in a row, but I was like, I'll just do two. And I heard Johnny saying King of Conversation. I'm like, how could I bring this in? So I said, the people's King of Conversation, because I do not lay claim to that myself. So thank you, my man. Thank you. Who else? All right, we got Dell with a question. We'll come back to that. We got the man, Movie Hunter. Salute, my friend. Good evening. Who else? Who else? Who else? Thank you, everyone, for joining us once again. Will Cheetah, Half Cheetah Will View, saying hey. Boom, 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 boom. I agree, Ryan. I agree. It's curled up and everything. Got the extra wax in it. I could see it.
I
I could
set it
see
up
it.
high today.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. One day you really just gotta do like the English style and just straight
Yeah.
out.
I love
Yeah.
the English.
Be a super villain for the day.
Snidely
Through the
Whiplash.
lenses here. What's up, saying hey? Ba 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 ba. Ooh, this is cool. Watch a film called Sanctuary today. One of the best of the year so far. Have
Oh,
you heard of
really?
that one? No?
Huh. Not that
Gotta
I can
check
think
that
of
out.
anyway.
Yeah. Moves with Ryan, Man Apart and Knockaround Guys, two of his favorite diesels. Yeah. Man Apart is good. I like that one too. But he wants to be known for like the Fast and Furious thing. To me, that was not his series. That was Paul Walker's until his death. But I never saw it as Vin Diesel's franchise. But
Yeah.
he's EP now, so I guess it is his.
Yeah. And I've heard him say he uses those for the cash so that he can produce his smaller projects. So my
Mm-hmm.
guess is once he's kind of uh the body's not as able to do a lot of those stunts, he's gonna
Mm-hmm.
go back to dramatic. I also know he likes Riddick, so maybe
Yeah.
he'll try and do some smaller versions of that, which I think is when Riddick works best, when it's
Mm-hmm.
not overdone. Like the what was it? The most recent one. It almost felt like a character study. It kind of turned a little actiony for
Yeah.
a while, but like those early scenes, it was like, oh my gosh, this is like a film, you know? It's not a
Yeah,
movie, this
yeah,
is a film.
yeah. Even when he was kind of like not necessarily the protagonist in the first one, it
Right.
was like that's where you should that's the lane you should have stayed in.
Yeah.
But you have to be the star. You have to be the star.
Right.
We got Kenny Levels.
Hey,
I'm not
Kenny.
calling you Daddy Levels anymore. I'll leave that for Michelle. Uh yeah, the anniversary live stream. We had a lot of fun on that. And even after our segments, it was good to still watch and everything. Loving the channel. We'll be checking in future streams. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Thanks for checking us out. Everybody's saying hey to Ken. Uh, ooh, I don't remember this one. Find Me Guilty.
I remember he was
Was
wearing
that
a
the one he
piece.
played the lawyer?
Yeah. And
Yeah, I
he had
didn't
hair
remember the title.
in it.
Yeah, I didn't remember the title of that. So, Ken says I saw it as Walker's too since he did the first two. Yeah, yeah. Triple X. Triple X is fun, not the sequel.
Wait, didn't a
Not the
third one come
sequel.
out though? And it was completely
Yeah,
forgotten?
yeah.
I don't even know
It was
who's in it.
kind of like the return of Xander Cage.
It is him? Okay.
Yeah. So it
And
was
then
like the first one was him, then the second one was Ice Cube, and then the third one was him with a cameo by Ice Cube. Sorry, I'm gonna spoil it for you.
y
You need to watch better movies. Timmy, what's up,
it's him.
Tim? Boo, 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 boo. What's this? Baba Scott. Have you seen my family to adult animated horror thriller film story yet? Nope, don't know what you're talking about. But going back to what Ryan started with about the whole thing with the stash, we're going to start off with a non-movie question or two, get into the movie stuff, which we already kind of did, and then end as we always do with the 5 takes. So even before the stash, I need you to explain why real men, especially fathers, cry and why it's okay.
Oh, let's see. Um, I wonder if you're referring to some of my videos, if that's where this started.
The the 700th stream.
Yeah. And that's actually not even the first time. I think that might have been time number 3 I've cried in a video. Um, but I think every time it has had to do with being a father. Well,
Hmm.
maybe not the second one, but the first time this happened to me while filming a video, I was just doing in October, I watch a horror film a day, and then do a review on it. And I watched Train to Busan. This was a first time watch for me,
Mm.
and it's a zombie film, very intense. And then the ending, just out of nowhere, maybe not out of nowhere, but it hits you in a way that you wouldn't expect in a zombie movie. And I'm my wife and I are in tears at the end, and it's just like, what the heck? How did this happen in a zombie movie? And then I, came downstairs to do my review of it, and I just thought I was going to give a normal review, and then I just felt it. I was like, oh no, this is going to hit me when I started talking about the ending, because there's this like father-daughter moment, and I think, like, had I seen this movie before becoming a dad, I think I just would have I watched it and liked it, more for the action. I would have found that scene, like, oh, that is an emotional scene, but maybe not have it just wash over me the way it did. Like, it completely,
Hmm.
I don't know. I like fell into that moment so hard, and I just, okay, all right, this is gonna, I gotta hold strong here for a second. So there's that scene when he's flashing back thinking of his daughter, and I think he, like, maybe grabs her hand when she's an infant or something like that. But that
Yeah.
took me back to, so I have twins, and twins are almost always preemies, and one of my girls had to be in the NICU, and we weren't able to take her home for, I think it was 20 days. So, we'd go in and visit her all the time. But I remember when she was born, they moved her over to a special section, and they were like working on her. And I was like, what's going on here? But I had like 2 kids to look at, and my wife's over here, sliced open and stuff. So I'm like, okay, Something's happening over here. And then we were like, learned that her like lungs were a little bit underdeveloped, but so they took her to a different place and they had me go with her. Um, and my wife stayed with the other girl, and my other daughter, the other girl. And
That other girl.
so I went and followed her to this special room where they had like heating lamps on her, and she was
Hmm.
all wired up and feeding tubes and things like that. And I just remember like holding her hand and holding her foot, and like that scene, like I just like like took me back, like
Yeah,
Ratatouille style, except for
core
it
memory.
wasn't like nostalgia. It was more just like, I can't imagine, I don't know what this dad's going through in this moment, or maybe I can imagine it. Maybe that's what the thing is.
That's
I
what it is.
really can imagine it. So yeah, when I was doing that review, it just like hit me, and I was like, oh no, do I need to start over? Like all that was going through my head. Do I need to start over? Do I need to
Mm-mm.
stop this? Should I edit this out? And then I was just like, you know what? I'm putting it up. I'm going to put it up.
Yep.
This is raw. This is
Yep.
real. Let's do
Yep.
that. And then,
And
yeah, it happened to me. I don't know. Homeward Bound has always been an emotional movie. I love animals. I love animals so much. I don't want any animals. I do have a cat, but
mhm.
I've had too many animals. They don't live forever. They have short lifespans. So I don't know. It's very hard for me, like to have animals.
Yeah.
So Homeward Bound, as a kid, I'd watch it all the time. It's one of my favorite movies. It's in my like true top five, and not the top five we'll be doing today, but my true top five favorite films.
Yeah.
And as an adult, it's just, I don't know, more experience. It's become harder to watch. But then the one you're talking about was,
Mhm.
yeah, I think it was my 500, right?
500 or 700? I can't
500 or
remember.
700,
It's
one
one
of
of
those.
them.
And I bought this teddy bear from the movie Hook,
Yeah.
and I started talking about Peter Banning, who becomes Peter Pan, and he's trying to become Peter Pan, trying to find his inner child and his playfulness, and then sort of realizing, wait, I can do this as an adult as well. I can fly, and the thing that makes you fly and never land are happy thoughts, and he's having trouble finding them. But then when he's thinking of okay, when he's thinking about his uh his son being born, Jack, it that's where it is. His new happy thought, his adult happy thought, is that he's a father. And just thinking about that, and thinking about my kids, it just like put me into tears. Waterfalls, Niagara Falls. It was heavy.
Yeah,
It was an
part of the
emotional
reason I
time.
keep zooming in on him is because I'm wiping my eyes over here
Yeah,
too,
I know
because
mine are starting to water in the corners
yeah,
there.
yeah. Not exactly the way you expected the conversation to start, but it's all good. It's all good. Um, Back to Train, that's that's probably my favorite zombie movie. And last Sunday we had the talk on movies with Ryan's channel about Asian cinema. And the thing about South Korean films, they will find a way to get drama and emotion in any genre of their film. And like a couple of us said, whatever you thought the movie was in the beginning as far as genre or subgenre, it's not going to be the same thing at the end. And I mean, going into that movie, it's a zombie movie, like you said. But then all of a sudden, I'm like, wait, where's all this emotion coming from?
Yeah,
And then next thing you're blubbering. And yeah, Mama Blu-ray just said it. Anything with kids gets me blubbering. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. Especially as a parent, man.
yeah.
Especially as your parent. Johnny says Busan, hands down favorite fast zombie. Yeah, puts that World War Z crap to shame.
Oh yeah.
Uh, we had a couple people pop in here. Um, so yeah, there's the monkey. Hopefully, better late than never to the man who smells of fresh mowed grass, who always loves his fire chats. Where could the best mustache on man on YouTube be? Oh, there
Oh,
you
there
are.
you are, Peter. Oh, there you are, Peter.
For those that don't know, tell them where that's from.
So yeah, so at the beginning of every one of my videos, I always say, "Oh, there you are, YouTube," and that comes from Hook, one of the Lost Boys, when he's trying
Yep.
to find young Peter in Peter Banning. Um, Robin Williams, he's like moving his face around. He's like, okay, it might be you. And then he like pushes his face back like this. And he goes, oh,
Yeah.
there you are, Peter. And then that's like
Hmm.
when a larger majority of the Lost Boys are sold. They're like, okay, this
Yep.
is the guy. This is the kid we knew. This is who we were kids with, fighting pirates with.
You got hard copy blues in the house. What's up, Vinny?
Hey, Vin.
Miss Caveman, hello. My friend's son was born in December last year. It wasn't until April this year. Wow, that he got out.
Wow.
NICU a couple of weeks ago. Thank goodness. And yeah, modern advancement of medicine. And if you have one, you need to have the other. We got Caveman. Thanks for joining us. Smack that like button for both of these cats. Appreciate you. Appreciate you. Johnny said, looking at Derek Stache is giving me Avery, Chico, and the Man Schreiber vibes. I like that. I like that. And also showing his age because many people don't remember Chico and the Man.
I got to pull that
So,
up. Chico and the Man
yeah.
sounds very familiar, but I don't know Avery Schreiber, but I'm guessing that's the
Hmm.
actor.
Yeah.
Okay,
And
because I'm pretty sure I've heard that. Maybe that was showing reruns in the early days of FX, because
hmm
I feel like I know that title so well.
yeah. And the theme song was done by Julio Iglesias. Not Julio Iglesias. No, 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 no. Jose Feliciano.
Oh, right, like
Yeah.
Freddie
Yeah.
Prinze. Okay,
Yeah. His
that's how I
daddy.
know it. I've never seen it, but I've heard of it through Freddie Prinze and comedian documentaries and stuff like that I've seen.
Hmm. So how long have you been growing the stash?
Well, this one was probably the November before the
No shave. No shave
well,
November
yeah. So when did the pandemic start? 2020.
2020.
So
March of
this one's
2020.
probably 2018, but I've
Hmm.
done it multiple times. The first time I did it was probably 2000. My oldest picture of me with one is 2007, but I think I did it in 2004 was my very first one. But I did that one more to like look like I was in a 70s like Allman Brothers or something like that. So
Yeah,
it was
yeah.
all long, but it all hung down,
Kind of
And
into the beard.
yeah, well, I didn't have a beard. I was always fresh shaven back then, other than the mustache.
Ah,
So yeah, I wanted to look like I
nice.
was, a 70s rocker or something. I always had, like wide boot cut at the bottom, the flares. Had
Nice.
super long hair, like down to the bottom of my back. But I think I do recall curling them, but with no intention of like, I want this to be my look. It was just, hey, this is funny.
Hmm.
Look what I can do. But I like made it my look for the first time in 2007, and then off and on I'll get rid of it. But I think I've had it ever since I started YouTube. Yeah, because I had it started in 2018.
Yeah.
This one.
Uh, who else joining us? We got James in the house, 20th and 21st movies, saying good evening. And look at that. Oh, there you are. I love when people have a catchphrase or something that just like, and the simpler the better. So, going back to our previous question, Dell says, I rarely cry, like once every 10 years, part of my 70s, 80s indoctrination into toxic
Uh,
masculinity. Hello. I used to think that made me strong, but now I admire guys unafraid to look weak to guys like me. Yeah, because the strongest thing you can do is show your emotions. So bump the rest of that noise. But yeah, it took me a while to get there too, bro.
yeah,
Took me a while.
I think it was kids having kids
Yeah.
because I really
Ooh,
didn't do it so much before.
you just turned Kenny onto something. Watch your videos all the time. Never made that hook connection.
I gave it
Mission
away today.
accomplished. Mission, you could go, you could sleep tonight. People saying hi to each other. Uh, flashback photos from the other day were awesome.
I posted those on
Nice,
Instagram.
nice. Um, let's get into the movie stuff, man, officially. So I was gonna ask you, like, when did your going back to when your YouTube channel began, when did your vlog turn into more movie centric? But really, in a way, it's still a vlog because, like, talking mustache, last week you put up the mustache tips with the handlebars and trying the new wax and all that. You put up that video, and as far as I went back, you were always talking movies. So no real transition. It's just been more of an adaptation, you would say. How would you
Yeah,
categorize it?
and maybe like the location, the environment has changed, you know,
Hmm.
because when I first started, like my channel started, it was the first day I was not allowed to go back to work during the
Mm.
pandemic, and I was like, told we can't go back to work on this day. So I was like, well, maybe it's time to start the YouTube channel. I've, wanted to start since what was it, 2004 when it started YouTube, and I just, had a tough time trying to figure out how to do it. I'm not super tech savvy, so that was my limitation. But by this time, my phone was smart enough to, make YouTube easy for me. So that's was part of the problem for a long time why I didn't do it. But had the smartphone, and I was like, well, movies are my favorite thing. I'm an artist, but what do I paint? I paint movies. So
Hmm.
it's always on my mind. I've always watched movies, always gone to the theater. I worked at a movie theater. Um, so I wanted to put that online, but I didn't even actually know about this community. I've seen like video essays, but I didn't see like the smaller community, just like larger channels doing, video essays on movies. But I had seen a lot of like vlogs on YouTube, and I was like, well, I guess I'll just like vlog my life and then talk about movies as I go along. Like if you look at my very first one, I'm talking about Contagion and um, gosh, what's the one with the monkey? Outbreak.
Yeah.
And I like set those two movies out on one side of the living room, and then had my two girls who were very little at the time. I don't even know if they could walk yet, probably maybe early stages, and I had them race to the other side to like pick their favorite one or whatever. I think anyway. I mean, that was so long ago at this point, but um, yeah, it was around my house. I was walking around, but then I brought it back to movies, and that's what I was always trying to do. Like have it
Yeah.
be day in the life, but how can I tie it back to movies? And then, so yeah, it was kind of always there, but every once in a while I'll do a mustache video. But what inspired this? The very first one, um, what would have been Bill the Butcher,
Mm.
from Gangs in New York. I've always
Yeah.
admired the mustaches in Tombstone. So even though I may not mention those things when I make those videos, that is why this exists. Um, but I think when it like really turned into like what people may know the channel for, the random rankings,
Yeah.
that actually started when I just had a very busy day and I didn't get much filming in. And I was like, shoot, what am I going to do? I'm so tired. So then I was like, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to pull three movies from my collection at random
Hmm.
and then rank them in the video. And so, yeah, that's kind of, I had so much fun doing that. The algorithm doesn't know what to do with them because it's
No.
three very disparate movies. So those never do well. They never do well, but
Hmm.
they are what I have the most fun doing.
It's fun to watch
About
too
movies.
because it's like instead of three separate reviews, you're giving brief reviews, but at the same time, you're also giving your opinion. People always talk about what's your top five Val Kilmer movies or whatever. Somebody hit me with that once, and I'm like, why? But I'm gonna forget something, and I did. I forgot Tombstone. Duh.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just I love the randomness of it, and I love getting your opinion because sometimes you're like, well, it was supposed to be this, but it was that to me. But
Right. And so
um,
I like when it pops up a memory, like
yeah.
sometimes I'll rank a movie high just because I had a great memory. Maybe the movie's not that good, but who I saw it with was a great time.
Hmm. Um, we got Stephen Wilson in the house saying howdy do. What's up to you?
Hello, hello.
Um, he says he sees Watchmen back there. Hello. He's had this movie for 3 years, never seen it.
I got
Sell him on
movies
it.
like that, but that's a good
Sell
one.
him on Watchmen. Which cut is that anyway? The
That's
regular
the
or director?
that's the it's like the super duper edition that also
Hmm.
has the Black Freighter in it. So like incorporated into it, so you don't have to watch it separately, like the
Yeah.
animated segments. I think it's just called maybe the collector's edition. Let's pull it out. I can't remember. So, oh, the ultimate cut. I think that's what it's called. Yeah,
Yeah.
the ultimate cut.
Yeah. I would say watch it theatrical if you could get it the first time, and then you're
Yeah.
gonna want more, go for the director's cut, or if you could get the ultimate cut, even better. A couple other people that popped in while we were chatting. And I see you guys with questions. I'll come back to them, I promise. We got Cody, dude who loves movies, saying what's up, and don't forget to roundhouse kick that like button.
Roundhouse kick it
We
with a
got
crock.
we got Culture Trini in the house. Salute my guy, as always. Who else popped in here? I thought I saw somebody else. We're gonna get back to your questions, I promise. Um, so Ken loves the random rankings. That's cool. Oh yeah, talking about convincing people. So Caveman says he asked me if I've seen Walter Goggins and Son of Anarchy, and can I sell you on it? I have not seen it. I know Melissa's screaming at me right now because she loves that show. Um, I will say this though, Walton Goggins is good in almost anything he's in. He was probably, besides Jennifer Jason Leigh, my favorite part of The Hateful Eight.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
just ranked that movie maybe it was last night actually, 2
hmm
nights ago. I love that movie. That became my favorite Tarantino.
I
But
like one room dramas to begin with. 12 Angry
yes,
Men, Hateful Eight, anything with numbers. Yeah.
yeah, and the television episodes, like when they're trying to save money, they'll just
hmm
pack everybody into a room, like the Fly episode from Breaking Bad. I'm sure everybody knows that if they watch that show, or the parking lot episode in Seinfeld, and I know like X
Yeah.
Files did a bunch of those where they're all just in that one space, and it's the studios, it's the companies trying to save money, but they make
Yeah.
really interesting episodes.
It balances the budget for all those on location shoots.
Exactly, yeah.
Watchmen is fantastic. Took a date to see, and we are both surprised to see the big blue of Dr. Manhattan. That's right. That's right. Yeah. Very, very descriptive right there. Mizzy says Watchmen is great. Yeah. Big blue of Dr. Manhattan. For real, for real. Woo. Yeah, I don't even notice it either. Um, let's get to some of these. Oh, before we get to the questions, this is what I was leading to. The one thing I will say, and you may have done this beforehand, but organization, besides Lord of the Rings, how do you find anything? Because it always seems like you're pulling from the front, and it's always different. It's like the magic box of movies. It's like every time you pick back there, it's something new. Even though by now you should have ran out of room and you should be like picking from the other side of the room. So
Well,
how do you find a movie? Like right now, if you wanted to find a certain movie, how do you find it?
it's rough. I do have to spend probably at around 20 minutes looking a lot of times, um, be, because it's all out of order, and
hmm
that's for the random rankings. So like if I pull here, I don't know if I'm getting like the letter A or the number movies, So I try and keep
Yeah,
it as random as possible. So it is tough. Um, and so, when people have streams where it's like, let's do our top 5 sports movies, let's do our top 5, actor movies or whatever. I'm down here the day before, you know, okay, where I gotta find these, I
rummaging.
gotta find these. Yeah. And I was doing that for today too. Like, some of the questions, I was like, okay, I need to pull some movies here. Let me see if I can find them. And I found them all except one.
Okay,
So
that's fine. Talking about questions, we did have people submit questions so far, so we'll just bring them up now. So starting with Lance, he says, "Have you ever been to Universal Studios and seen some of the DreamWorks characters there?"
I've been to Universal Studios, but the last time I went was I think 2011. So I don't think they had
hmm
really done much with DreamWorks other than Shrek stuff.
Yeah.
But I honestly don't even remember if I feel like I remember Shrek being there, but I'm not sure if I'm like putting promotional imagery in my brain and saying, "Yeah, I remember that part," because I
The
was more
commercials do
focused
it too.
on like the Harry Potter world because that it was the summer that opened. I went, and then I
Hmm.
had gone with my grandparents to the Islands of Adventure, and tried to ride all the classic rides then. And then my first time though, I was a young kid, and that was the best because they still had King Kong, they still had Jaws, they still had Back to the Future. It was like the era that I was in love with that place. Like the
Hmm.
ads were so good. Now I don't think I would care as much about Universal Studios just because I don't have a deep nostalgia for a lot of the things that they have there
Yeah, they
at.
had that stuff until like early 90s. I remember because I was living down there at the time, and I was like, wow, they still have this stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, I don't know a lot of the newer stuff. I think they have a new King Kong ride, but I like the old one.
Yeah,
Fast and Furious, Transformers. Like, I do all that stuff, but I'm not like, oh, I got to do it.
yeah. Dell wants to know what's a movie you love from a genre you typically don't like.
Um, hmm. Genre I don't like. I I think like martial arts movies, which is funny because I was on Dell's channel and we did the movie swap, and
Hmm.
um, he sent me a martial arts film. Actually, I think it's one of your favorite movies, right?
Which one?
La Last Dragon.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
The Yeah, it's coming out on 4K. I still can't believe it. That movie on 4K. Why?
So yeah, that's just
Oh
not
yeah, that's right.
that's a genre that I'm just not super familiar with. Like with me and those types of movies, it's Ninja Turtles, it's Three Ninjas, it's Sidekicks, it's
Hmm.
Surf Ninjas, right? It's that stuff. So, but my stepdad was really into it,
I
and
remember that now.
yeah, I just couldn't get that much into it. I mean, he showed me the Ong Bak movies, and um, you know, a few of those, I would sit through. So I don't know that now a movie that I love from that genre, and I don't know if this would count because it's, not from overseas or anything, but I really did like The Last Dragon. I thought that was so good. But I know that's
Yeah,
American, so I don't know if that
it
would
doesn't
really
matter. It's
qualify.
cheesy, good fun.
Yeah. Otherwise, I mean, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the original film.
Yeah, it's also the era too in which you grew up, so
Yeah.
I get it. Through the lens, what is your favorite film of the year so far? I have a few: Spider-Verse, Blackberry, Pipeline, Rye Lane. How about you?
Um, Maybe John Wick 4?
Maybe.
Oh, don't
There
let
you
me
go.
call Baba
Baba
Yaga.
Yaga.
So probably maybe that. I don't know.
Yeah,
That was
I would
most
say either
fun.
that or Spider-Verse for me.
See, I still haven't seen that. I'm like many weeks behind on all the blockbusters. Like
Mhm.
I only just saw Guardians 3. So I don't know. That's another thing that changes with you when you have young kids.
Oh, yes.
You don't see those movies right away.
Yes. A little follow-up on that, Last Dragon comment. We got Shona.
Sure enough.
What's up, Cindy?
And to think I thought
Uh,
that was Busta Rhymes that invented that.
yeah, yeah, well, another person who grew up in that era where that was, like, our teenage years, so, yeah. Movie Swap is validated, yes. If you guys
Yeah,
haven't checked out Dell on Movie, his YouTube channel, he has an excellent series called Movie Swap. Derek's been on it, I've been on it, and it's great. Two movies, other person didn't see it. You swap. Simple
yeah.
premise, but it works so well.
I love it.
Definitely fun. Let's see. I thought we had another question here. No, 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 no. Okay, we're good. We're good. Uh, People still talking Watchmen. So, being an X-Men fan, take me back, year 2000.
Mm.
How did you feel having your favorite comic book series on the big screen officially for the first time?
That was fantastic. And it was a dream come true. I remember like flipping through Wizard magazine, they did the fan
Mhm.
casting, and I th- I'm pretty sure, I think they probably did it multiple times, but Patrick Stewart was listed for Xavier, obviously, it's
Mhm.
almost like too perfect. And then um like when that happened, I was like, I can't believe this. Like dreams are coming true here. Because I saw that and I was like, of course, he's the perfect Xavier. And
Yeah.
then he's right there on screen. I remember thinking at the time, I wasn't too upset about it, but thinking that Hugh Jackman wasn't,
Yeah.
Tom Hardy enough. Tom Hardy would have been like a great guy for the part, but he
Yeah.
was a very lean person. So I was just like, man, that's not quite right, but whatever. And then Halle Berry, she was a star or felt like a star to me at that time. So it was like awesome. It
Mhm.
was like validating in a way, like, look at this. We got Patrick Stewart, we got Halle Berry here. This
Mhm.
is this is great.
Wolverine being my favorite of the group, it's also my favorite comic book growing up. Um, I just remember just flipping through and just always like looking for the uncanny at the top,
Uh,
the uncanny,
uh-huh.
and Wolverine being my favorite because it was like no matter what, no one can F with this guy.
Hmm.
That was my thing, and I really didn't care who they had as long as it came across well on the screen, and I just wanted them to make a rated R version. And of course, we finally got that with Logan,
Right.
a version of Old Man Logan graphic novel. But um, yeah, I just because I can't picture Wolverine being PG-13 at any point in any storyline, you know, sans the comics that the cartoons that were on a few years earlier. But yeah, that was everything to me, like those movies, and some of them were weaker looking back and everything. I still believe in X2, the
Yeah.
whole storyline with registering and all that. I still love that, and it kind of crosses over into what eventually became what was that Captain America movie? Not was it Secret War? I don't even remember.
Civil War? What?
Civil War, yeah,
Oh.
with the registration and everything. So,
Mm-hmm.
um, are you a big award season guy?
Oh yeah. Um,
Yeah.
again, with kids, it's become a little less. I used to follow it all the way through with the guilds and everything, and now I just kind of
Mhm.
read the news on the guilds. But I try and follow the Oscars as closely as I can. I just had to chip away at some of the stuff I would follow.
Yeah.
But yeah, Oscar night was my favorite night of the year. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Do you well, I would say BK, before kids, were you the one like try to go see all the best picture nominees before the big night and everything?
yeah. Well, I've actually just reduced it to that now. It used to be every single nominee. Every
Wow.
single nominee.
Yeah.
When I was in deepest, when I was in college where I had a lot of extra time, and then a little after college, I was kind of floating around. I had a lot of extra time. Uh,
Nice.
I used to feel like I was a Oscar historian, but
Mhm.
again, kids will suck
Yeah.
other old information out of your brain and replace it with their information. So I could tell you all about Paw Patrol.
Yeah. It must be in the name because you and Convicted Cinephile, also Susan, the three of you, award season comes back around. I say you three should do something together because you definitely are hardcore into it. The last time I did something like what you're saying, where I watched everything, probably was the last great year of cinema to me, which was 2019.
Yeah,
2019 was an excellent year. I saw every doc, I saw every short film, everything, every Best Picture nom, everything. And I mean, we could just run off the list of great movies from that year, but yeah, definitely. Um, we got some questions coming in. I do want to get back because James had a question, and also Tidbit Kid. But before we get to Tidbit Kid, I'll ask James' question here. No spoilers, but are you hoping they do a fifth John Wick movie? Or are you happy with the four?
I'm happy with 4. I feel like I'm hearing that a 5th one might happen. Maybe
Yeah.
it could be interesting, but I like it. ending with 4.
Me too.
And
If we get
and
a fifth one, I want it to be a spin-off.
yeah, exactly. And I know they're doing that show, The Continental, or maybe it's called
Mhm.
Ballerina, or maybe those are 2 different shows. I can't remember now, but I'd love to watch The Continental. Like that one sounds interesting. That hotel is such a
Mhm.
fascinating place in that world. So yeah,
Yeah,
I prefer spin-offs. I think the John Wick character, he had
that
everything that
storyline
he
is
did kind of worked out
yeah,
well.
yeah. Um, Someone needs some advice here. Let's see if I can get this all on screen. Space has become an issue. Be going caseless with media sleeves for the collection unless it has slipcovers, special packaging such as media book, steelbook. Are you contemplating doing this? To clarify, the sleeves allow the artwork, but just leaves a crease along with the side of the label in the middle, so best overall without to do too much to do on later. So space.
Right. That's a difficult part of all of this.
Hmm.
The space issues. Um, I'm more for finding new space, more space.
Yeah,
But I have a lot of DVDs, old DVDs, stuff that secondhand, so it's not like they are a prized possession unless maybe they're out of print or whatever, but and not, you know, upgraded at all.
yeah,
But for my random rankings, it's good to have those. And also when I think of physical media, it's not only just the, oh, I can grab it and put it in and watch it whenever I want because I own it. It's also the box, the casing, like all of that, the packaging, all of that, I guess, sort of means something to me, the object, almost like the sculpture. So
yeah.
I don't think I would do that for a very long time if I were to
Yeah.
consider doing that. I didn't even do that with my CDs. My friends would have, those books, and I
I
never did that.
finally did that to my CDs when we moved from the East Coast out here. I
Yeah.
mean, I'm talking I had like thousands of CDs. I got rid of a lot of them, but the ones that I kept, I just started putting them in Case Logic 300 books, and
Yeah.
I think I have like 4 or 5 of them right now. But I could see myself doing that with some of the DVD cases that are not like snappers or special editions. Like I just got this,
Oh, yeah.
you know, I'm keeping this. This is special to me.
I got that back there
but
somewhere.
but at the same time, like all the Warner Brothers that are snappers I would keep, but like something that's old, I don't know, Columbia or something like that. Of course, all the Disney stuff I'll keep, but I'm getting tired of saying I need another shelf. Like right now, I need a shelf just to put out my Criterion stuff.
Yeah.
It's yeah, it's going to become an issue. Good question. Good question. Two more, and then we'll get to the 5 takes. So Ryan's being silly, but wants to know what's your favorite casserole.
That's an inside joke.
Mm-hmm.
um, I like hash brown casserole for
Mm,
breakfast, but um, I think it's called. I've heard it called a lot of different things, but like cornbread pudding, corn casserole. It's like
yeah.
cornbread with corn in it, and it's like very creamy.
Mm-hmm.
That. Oh man, if that's at a family reunion or something, I'm cutting half of that tray out and putting it on my
Yeah.
on my plate. I love that stuff.
There's a barbecue joint out here called Jack Stack, and they do is it cheesy corn? It's cheesy corn bake, and it's
Yeah,
it's
something similar.
basically that. Yeah.
Yeah,
So you have that with some like hot and spicy Q. Good
yeah.
stuff. Good stuff. And then finally, before we get to the 5 takes, Laren had my question that I was going to end off the list of questions with. He says, would Derek ever do a live stream on his own channel?
um, I'd have to learn the technology and feel
I could
uh
help you out.
a little comfortable with that before doing it. I probably have to
Hmm.
upgrade my tech too. I don't even know if my laptop could handle it. Maybe I just need
Yeah.
my phone. I'm not sure. But my data, I don't know. I don't know if that could handle it.
Yeah.
So
That's what we were talking
there are a
about
lot of
before.
things at play before I do something like that. But it would be
Yeah.
fun to do live random rankings, have
Yeah.
people on and, have them all go out, pick three, and then we all, find find some common ground and how to rank them.
Cornbread with actual corn is not allowed at my barbecue. It's not cornbread. It's not cornbread. It's cheesy corn. It's like it's it's
It's like a
liquidy.
casserole.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
not cornbread. Cornbread, come on. You know
Yeah. I don't want
cornbread's
corn in my
different
cornbread
thing.
either.
No, neither do I. Oh my gosh. And Johnny, with all these great questions, he's wondering if you would take us to Funky Town.
Like
I'll leave
Casey and
that
the
alone.
Sunshine Band? Wait, no, that's not Casey. Who?
Lips Incorporated. Know your disco.
Oh, okay.
Lip sync. Lip sync. Tell us about the world's greatest chili. I'm
Oh
I'm missing all
gosh.
these inside jokes.
Well, that's a throwback to my old like vlogs when I would, also incorporate cooking in them, just stuff I do
Okay.
during the day. And
Yeah,
I did
yeah.
have chili, and I think I would always talk about Hateful Eight because my wife and I, when we saw that in the theater, we came out of there like needing stew, needing chili, like that
Mm.
stuff that Kurt Russell's eating looks
Mm-hmm.
so amazing, so perfect. So we just started making chili, making stew all the time because of that movie.
Yeah.
So another tie-in there. So it felt okay to put it in the on the channel.
It's like
But
wanting a
yeah, for us,
cheeseburger after seeing the menu.
what's that?
It's like wanting a cheeseburger after seeing the menu.
Yes, exactly. Oh gosh, and did I want that? Yeah.
So did I.
That
So
one
did
looks
I.
so good.
Even the second time I went back to see it with my wife and a friend, and I was like, I still want a cheese. I knew it was coming. I still want a cheeseburger,
Yeah.
like right now.
But if you want your chili to be good, you gotta add, a bottle of IPA to it, specifically, um, a place called Blind Pig Brewery. They have something called, the U of I PA, like University of Illinois PA.
Yeah.
And
Huh.
that makes all the difference, we've discovered. Any other beer, if you can get away with a different IPA, but it
Hmm.
must be an IPA. But our favorite is the U of IPA in that chili.
I'm gonna have to grab some of that when I get up there.
Yeah.
Between you and Bobby, I need to get up there to that area and visit. So should be fun. I missed this question. Do you use your local library to borrow from to keep up on date on new release? I do that with Criterions. If I'm looking to buy a Criterion and I could rent it and it's not on channel, I'll actually get it from the library to do that. How about you? Do you use the library to kind of preview any movies before buying, or do you blind buy?
I do a lot of blind buying, and I used the library recently, though, for the Oscars to catch
Hmm.
up on those movies. A lot of these streams that people will have, when I'm looking for a top five, maybe this person, and they have a movie that I've always been interested in, but never got to it. I check the library to see if it's there because maybe it's not going to get to my house in time. I did the same thing for Dell, on his channel. That's how I found The Last Dragon. Was at the library, so I was able to get it that way.
Yep.
Because you don't know if it's gonna make it to your house in time if you buy it. Could be scuffed, and it's like, I'd rather return this. So
Yeah.
it made more sense to do the library.
And yes, Laren, I will definitely try to visit you as well. Or maybe we could just have a meetup spot. That'll be fun.
Yeah,
All right. Ready for the five takes?
I think
Take a
so.
swig. I'm gonna take a swig too. Now we're ready. All right. So let's start with number two. Number one. Name the film that made you fall in love with the movies.
So this was a tough one for me because as far back as I can remember, I've loved movies. I don't know if there was like one thing that was like, yes, this is it. I've just been going to the movies for, I think maybe I was four. Whenever Masters of the Universe came out, that was my first movie in the theater. So I did bring that. I wouldn't say this is necessarily the one that made me fall in love with movies, but it helped my attitude with movies because you go in expecting the cartoon, and then it's not like the cartoon at all. So it was a good learning experience to realize that adaptations don't have to be exact adaptations. So I remember like when the superhero phenomena happened, it's like, oh, it doesn't follow the comic, it doesn't follow the comic. But it's like, well, this is a new work of art. It's okay. This isn't the comic. This is the movie. So I think that was really helpful for me with Masters of the Universe, seeing it in theater. Again, not the movie that made me fall in love with movies, but it gave me maybe one of my first lessons with movies. So
Hmm.
that's kind of how I altered that
Yeah.
question a little bit. But speaking of the crying, I thought another good movie maybe for this would be the first movie that I ever remember crying, and I was in, I guess I can't remember what grade now, but when Cool Runnings came out,
Hmm.
seeing Cool Runnings in the theater, and when they pick up that bobsled at the end and then walk it across the finish line, like my eyes started watering, and I was like, "What the heck is this?" you know? I'm too young to have emotions like this. What's going on? Like, I remember like feeling
Right.
confused, like this has never happened to me before. What are these changes that my body are having? I'm I'm crying right now because of a movie,
Yeah.
the way it made me feel. Just that duty to cross the finish line,
Hmm.
that heroic walk across the finish line, finishing what you started, even if you aren't going to win. All of that. It was just like so strong, and I'm getting goosebumps thinking about it. They're right there on my arm. I that was the first movie to make me cry. So in a way, that did in a way is one of the movies that made me fall in love with movies. But I was in love with movies way before that film.
Nice, nice. You got some people who should, but Master Universe still rocks. I don't care what anyone says. We got Mega Mike, the movie man, in the house saying hello. He still needs to see that movie. Does it have a great physical release?
I don't
I
know.
don't. I
Is it
don't
just a
even think
Blu-ray?
so.
Maybe
I think so.
just a
I think
Blu-ray.
so.
Yeah,
Standard Blu-ray. Yeah.
but don't expect
Ryan just said
Orko.
it.
Don't expect Battle Cat. Not there.
Yeah. It's not the cartoon. That's for sure. That's for sure. Moving on to number two. Name five of your favorite films.
Okay, I this isn't a your top five, right? Like
Correct.
this isn't my top five here, but these are five movies that I wish there were more numbers in five. Like movies that I
Hmm.
wish I could put in my top five, but they're just not quite there. They're movies that I've considered adding to my top five. And I'll start with one that we've already talked about, X-Men, the 2001. While much greater X-Men movies have come out, this one, anytime I'm doing a ranking of maybe X-Men movies or superhero movies or Marvel movies or whatever it is, or people say, "What's your favorite superhero movie?" I'll always say this one because it was a dream come true. It was like all I ever wanted to see, all I ever wanted to happen was to see the X-Men live on screen. Um, and like I grew up watching that cartoon in the 90s. I loved it. And then I finally got it in this movie. So this movie holds a lot of weight, even though I can recognize it's not the best of the franchise. But it did really help kickstart things for superheroes at large. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but uh, this movie's a big favorite of mine. Next, this one's maybe not as interesting, but this is like my sixth favorite movie of all time. So the original Ghostbusters, I would like there to be another number in top five. Oops, sorry, that's my alarm. Um, so I could add it, and I'd consider all the time maybe I can take one out and put this one in because I love it. I loved watching it with my dad a lot when I was a kid. Keep going.
Yep.
Okay, so next I'm gonna say Dragnet. So Tom,
Ah.
Tom Hanks is my favorite actor, and when we think of Tom Hanks nowadays, I feel like we think more of um, like his more dramatic roles. We think of Saving Private Ryan, we think of Castaway, but I grew up watching him doing his comedies in the early days, like Splash and Dragnet and Big were some of my early exposures.
Hmm.
But I always loved Dragnet a lot. And when I watch it now, it's so funny because he's such a star, but he's playing second fiddle to Dan Aykroyd here. And his job is just to make a quip, make a joke. Dan Aykroyd has a line, and then Tom Hanks makes fun of him. And today, when we think of Tom Hanks, he's America's dad, or at this point, America's grandfather. But here, he's a horn dog. If you've ever wanted to see a horny Tom Hanks, watch this movie. Okay. My last one, I forgot to grab it. It's upstairs, but that's okay. I have two more now. Where am I at? Yeah, X-Men, Ghostbusters, Dragnet. Next is Dick Tracy. Maybe you could argue this is another one that made me fall in love with movies. As an artist, I really appreciate the music, the set design, the costume design, all of that. The faces, I just loved studying them, especially at McDonald's. I don't know if you remember when they had that giant promotion for Dick Tracy where you had to like scratch off.
Yep. Yep.
And I remember just love looking at those images, those illustrations of the baddies from Dick Tracy. So yeah, this one I would love for it to enter my top 5, but there are not enough numbers in 5. And then
If there was ever a movie that screams out for 4K HDR, it is Dick Tracy.
yeah, I'm always advocating like this needs to be on Criterion. I want them to just like load up the special features, get interviews with
Hmm.
Warren Beatty.
Hmm.
There's like so much information. There's so many promotional things that they did
Yeah.
for this movie and that they're
They
still
dropped
doing.
so much money, so much
Yeah.
marketing dollars into that.
And it,
Oh my gosh.
yeah. And Warren Beatty still owns Dick Tracy and he won't let anybody have it. And I
Hmm.
think he does that as a grudge with somebody, like I'm not letting go.
Yeah.
And in order for him to hold on to the rights of Dick Tracy, he has to make a Dick Tracy movie every so many years. And he actually just made one movie maybe it was this year. It was either this year or last year. And they go on Turner Classic Movies, and he basically just gets a film critic out there, and then he dresses up as Dick Tracy, now a very old Dick Tracy, and then like talks about the history of the movie or history of Dick Tracy or something like that. And it's these terrible interviews, but they qualify by
Yeah.
law. Legally, they qualify, so he gets to hold on to the rights. But put those on the Criterion too. Like this needs something amazing needs to happen with this.
Yep.
And then my other one is Sideways with Thomas Hayden Church and
Yeah.
Paul Giamatti, and that's actually upstairs. My wife and I, we just rewatched it. We rewatch that one all the time, and I love it so much. And I think out of like non-genre contemporary films, that's probably my favorite one. Everything else I
Yeah.
love is sci-fi, fantasy, period piece, crime or whatever. But that one's just a straight drama, and I'm pretty sure that's my favorite straight drama ever. That's contemporary. It is so good. It's so funny. And now I'm learning, like I'm the same age as these guys. I'm actually older than Paul Giamatti was. I'm still younger than
Wow.
Thomas Hayden Church was at the time, barely. But yeah, I think Paul Giamatti, he has an older look to him. I think he was maybe 34 or 35 when he filmed it, which is
Wow.
like surprising to me. So that means I'm not quite a bit, but more than a year older than him. So
Hey,
yeah, that
as long
movie.
as you make it look good, that's all that matters. As long as you make it look good.
Thank you.
Couple of comments before we continue. Going back to the adaptation comment, it doesn't follow the source material, lazy criticism from fans or whatever that source is. Very
Mhm.
true. People basically want they don't understand screenwriting, they don't understand opening up a script or a novel or a graphic novel or a comic book, so they want it like beat for beat, you know,
Yeah,
frame for frame. Why, as Tim Talks Talkies would say, why bother remaking it if it's going to be exactly the same?
that's
So,
what's interesting about Watchmen is it almost is frame for frame, almost is beat for beat, but then they make an enormous, huge, change at
but
the
it's
end,
blockbuster.
which I think is
Yeah.
better though. I like the ending of
Hmm.
the movie better than the book, graphic novel.
Yeah. Um, Tidbit Kid says, assuming you heard of X-Men '97 animated series coming back to Disney
Oh
Plus.
yeah.
Yes, yes, yes.
And I think I
Um,
already have a shirt of that. I think the shirt I got on
yeah,
Father's Day,
the
I'm pretty
pink
sure
one.
that is a promotional shirt for
It
that.
could be. It could be. It looks like it could be. Derek doesn't have OG Ghostbusters in top five.
Oh,
Leaves chat to go unsubscribe.
it's it's 6. Maybe I'll bump it up. I
Yeah.
think about it probably every day.
What's up, D Ray? Thanks for joining us. Talking about Dick Tracy. Mizzy says he loves Dick Tracy.
Yeah,
Dell says it definitely needs a 4K.
yeah, we
Mike
gotta
B in
call
the house.
Warren.
Yeah, we got to get in touch. Yeah, it would pop in 4K for sure. Just got to have the HER. Talking Tom Hanks, Wonderful in Philadelphia, one of his first dramatic roles. Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't know that age, that bosom buddy age of Tom Hanks, doing the
Mhm.
comedies, The Bachelor Party, all that stuff.
Right.
So we got Coco Dutch in the house saying hello. What's going on, lady?
Hello,
And
hello.
yeah, Warren Beatty's been playing the long game for a while, and he will
Yeah.
continue to.
Yeah,
I
take that.
think he doesn't feel it was properly promoted. That's why it failed. Not thinking, okay, people have stopped reading comic strips, and your modern day movie audience doesn't necessarily know who Dick Tracy
Yeah.
is.
Well, yeah, 'cause it's one of the most promoted movies I remember. Like,
Hmm.
Batman, that, Phantom Menace, I feel like are what I remember, and maybe Godzilla,
Yeah,
like, are the most promoted movies I remember. Like, I feel like Dick Tracy, they went above and beyond, you know?
yeah,
So, I don't
yeah.
think you can blame that. I think the thing is, like you said, they made Batman, and Batman was a hit.
Hmm.
1930s hero, let's do another one, you know?
But Batman still had a following. You still had,
Right,
at the
yeah,
time, there were like 6 or 7 comic book lines with Batman, so
right. Yeah,
not
their line of
exactly the same.
thinking, I think, was incorrect there. They
True,
thought it was
true.
just 30s heroes is what people wanted.
Yeah. All right, let's get back to it. Number three, everyone's favorite question. Name a popular or classic movie that everybody loves. You can't stand.
And if you know from my channel, I'm pretty soft on everything. Or in a sense to I'm not overly critical of anything. I feel like I like most movies that I watch, but La La Land would be the movie, very popular movie, not a classic yet. I'm sure it will become a classic, but that one
Hmm.
just didn't work for me. I
It happens.
I I fully can't understand why, but like at the end, everybody's like, "Oh, it's so devastating." I was just like, I don't know. I just watched it with a straight face at the end. It didn't do anything for me. And the dancing, I think maybe because of watching so much Oscar history and so many musicals, the dancing just wasn't, that wasn't Fred Astaire, like Fred Astaire,
Right.
no, it wasn't even close to that. So I don't know. It just that one didn't work for me.
I
Please don't
think it
subscribe.
was, I think you're fine. I think it was supposed to appeal to the classic Hollywood fan. Like, come on, you recognize this lot, or come on, you've seen Umbrellas of Chambord or whatever it is.
Yeah.
So without that knowledge, or it is kind of like Easter eggs and homage at the same time.
Mhm.
And if you're like my daughter, once upon a time, a lot of people hated the ending because they feel like, you know, they didn't get what they want. But I'm like, they got exactly what they wanted
Yeah,
without going into it. So
right. Yeah, I came out of that one, maybe it was overhyped too. Like, I've only seen it the
that
one
too,
time,
that
but,
too, especially
like,
Oscar season. My God.
everybody was into it, and I was
Hmm.
like I remember I used to throw Oscar parties, and I remember everybody in the room was just kinda like, "Mm," and which was surprising because I know a lot of people love that movie, but I think
Yeah,
my friend group we were more Moonlight friends or
yeah.
fans, and I remember seeing something happen in the background, Warren Beatty and behind Warren
Once
Beatty,
again,
and I was
yeah.
like, something's happening, something's wrong, something strange is going on, and everybody's like already griping, and I'm like, everybody, I think we need to stop talking here. And then I
Hmm.
was like, I think something's screwed up, something's going on, and then it came out, and then the room erupted. It was so cool. I wish I was vlogging back then, because the room went wild when
Yeah.
they threw up Moonlight, and we could see it on the card. It was just like, oh wow, it was a good time.
Oh man, Dell disappointed me. I thought by now he would have already called his title for La La Land, but he hasn't done it yet. Um, Mizzy says La La Land is boring. Yeah. Oh yeah. You're gonna get Tim to come back in the chat again. I
Sorry,
I
Tim.
still remember the first time I saw it. I all I kept saying is I liked Whiplash more. But then I watched it a few more times and it was like I got it. But it
Mhm.
took a few times to get it. But
Well, yeah, if because otherwise I would have said Casablanca, because that took me a long time to love.
me
Um,
too.
and Blade Runner also took me a long time to love,
Hmm.
but now I
I can
do.
see that.
So I didn't think those
I
were
can see that.
appropriate. Maybe
Yep.
someday I will love La La Land.
Let's flip that. Number four, name a critically hated movie that you love.
Oh yeah, I'll fight for this one all the time. Lady in the Water, M. Night Shyamalan. Um,
Really?
yeah, I love this movie, and I think one of the things I always point to, if you look at, I think the critics panned it, so it didn't get a big chance to even win at the box office. And if you look at read every review, like every review I've read anyway, what they
Hmm.
focus on is who M. Night Shyamalan cast in the film. He casts himself, which we know he's in all of his movies, almost all of them. But with this one, he casts himself in a very important role, and everybody's like, "Oh, he's such an egomaniac," blah 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 blah. And it's like, but that's not the movie. The movie's not who the role he gave himself. Watch the movie. Watch what this is about.
Yeah.
And I think you'll like it. So I have shown it to a lot of people. A lot of people have liked it. Other people have disliked it, but it's one I always champion. Big fan of Lady in the Water, even though it's critically panned. But look at those reviews; they'll always talk about Shyamalan, um, and who he casts himself as, and how
Hmm.
he's an egomaniac.
I
But
gotta go
that's
back
not the
and
movie.
watch it now.
It's like
I
they're
gotta
always
go
talking about
back and
behind the
watch it.
scenes stuff, because this was the
Yeah.
movie that Disney wouldn't pay for. He was working with the Touchstone, their other
Hmm.
company, and they're like, "Yeah, we don't like this one. I don't think we want to make it." So I think this was Warner Brothers. Yeah, Warner Brothers. They're like, "Hey, you can do whatever you want." And then like that's what the reviews are about, all the behind the
Yeah.
scenes stuff, and it's like that's not the movie.
Uh, what's this comment? I heard they're doing a sequel, Lady in the Water, Freak on the Sheets. Somebody say,
I'd watch it.
hey,
Also,
hey.
to plug Dell again, this is one of the movies I had him watch on our movie swap.
Yeah. Top three, Shyamalan. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Uh, we do have some more comments. I just want to run through them and a couple of questions that I skipped over. Apologies. Boom, 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 boom. So this going back to earlier in the conversation. So let's see. Okay, we did that. We did that. Oh, so talking when we were talking John Wick, yeah, rest in peace, Lance Reddick.
Hmm.
Yeah, Wire. Yeah, that's how I know him. I know him from the Wire, and of course, Mizzy added excellent show. Michael K. Williams, Flatbush, Vanderveer, stand up. Um, talking about the food with the movie. Ryan says, "Watch Chef and not want a Cuban afterwards." So true. So
Yeah,
true.
it's a good movie.
Um, do you have a company you trust more with blind buys?
Um, I don't think so.
I would
No.
say Second Sight because I love their limited editions, but they just announced Crimes of the Future, and I don't like that movie, so I won't be
Yeah,
getting that. But I am getting It Follows.
that's with
That's
Kristen Stewart and
yeah,
Aragorn. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Not a good movie to me. Um, let's see. Talking about Dick Tracy, I remember my local theater handing out T-shirts for the midnight show saying I was there. Yeah, that's ego. That is
Yeah,
ego.
yeah. They promoted that film.
Hmm. Dell finally came through with his version of the title. Blah blah blah.
Yes.
Caveman, I think Warren Beatty hates how cheesy the end result was and perceived. He wanted to be taken seriously. He's just in love with the franchise and with the character and everything, and you can't get other people to share in your passion that way.
Hmm.
It's just impossible. Tibbet Kid says, I believe they banked on the toys, but from my memory, my mom only bought them on clearance. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so many toys. I had a shirt, growing up.
Hmm.
I bought a lot of stuff now that I'm an adult, but yeah, I mean
Yep.
watches. That has the weirdest set of promotional items. I mean
Yeah.
everything. Pencil
And
holders.
it's just dumb, dumb. And I think of everything, the one thing that everybody would have wanted is a functional TV watch,
Yeah,
which I mean, now we call it an Apple Watch. So,
right.
Coco Dutch has one question before we land the plane, and she says, her and Brian would love to know what your favorite room movie is from the great movie ride that used to be at Hollywood Studios.
Mm. Um, I can't remember if it was a full room, but I liked the alien segment the best. With It wasn't a full room though. It was more
Wasn't
when
it
they were
that
showing
one where you
history.
walked in and you saw all the eggs?
Yeah, but I think didn't we see like a I think they had maybe an animatronic of Ripley, if I remember right. I need to do watch a ride through of that. It's been so long. And I only
Yeah,
got to ride that movie one time. Or sorry, I only got to ride that attraction one time.
yeah.
Um, but yeah, I remember that part being cool. But I think it is just like a small section of the ride. The western part is probably the most fun, though, if we're thinking about like when the cast members interact with you. That
Mhm.
part's a lot of fun. Or is it western? Gosh, I remember guns going off, but maybe it was noir, gangster movie. I think it
Mm.
was western.
We open it up with Dick Tracy here. Didn't the action figure spoil the twist villain of the movie? I don't
Yeah.
remember that part. Wow, that's cold. All right. So finally, as we land the plane, number 5. Who
Ooh.
would you like to see me have a conversation with on this channel?
So I remember in one of these that I watched, you mentioned getting more people from across the pond.
Hmm.
So Masters of the 80s, I don't think you've had them on yet. Tony.
No, but I think someone did recommend them before.
Okay.
I can't tell, but yeah,
Yeah. And
I'm all
then
for a second recommendation. Master of the
um
80s.
you've already had AJ Reacts 2, but have you had
Yeah.
AJ's Movie Place on?
No.
He's another British person. I
AJ
don't know. Is,
movie
is
play.
Brit a bad word? I'm not sure if I'm supposed to say that.
I don't know,
British,
but
Brit.
you're cool with me.
And then Matt V's movies, another British guy, but he's with.
Matt V's movies. Yeah, because it's really cool, a Friday night or a Saturday afternoon, just to switch it up a little bit.
Hmm.
I like that. So I mean everyone was like going crazy for Pete and Hannah and they just whew, I needed a week off after that. They were like so much energy. I loved it. But yeah, I have a list of people that I like to do my research too. So it's not
Yeah.
just like come on and just answer these questions that I just randomly pick. So definitely want to get more into different people, international guests, but I also need to do my research and something about a full-time job kind of cuts down on that time. So
Hmm.
yeah, it's not like it used to be. Um, let's see. I want to thank everyone in the chat for joining us tonight. I
Thank you.
want to thank my man here, Mr. Pure Hangout himself, Derek. This was fun. What you think?
Yeah, this was so fun. I love talking with you. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm always up for talking movies with other movie lovers, cinephiles, whatever. Um, and dads.
Yeah,
We had it's different, man. I don't care if you were a hard rock before, you were a-hole before. It's kind of like you have kids and something changes in you, man. So I
definitely.
definitely can feel it, and I'm further down the road than you. So um, yeah, if you ever need some paternal support, I'm here for you, man.
Glad to
Uh,
hear that. Thank
Thank
you.
you, Holland. Thank you, Laren. Thank you, everybody, for coming through. Mizzy, he's changing your name.
The
Pure
mustache.
mustache. Good night, Melissa, Laren, Coco, Miss K, man. Thank you, everyone. And as we always say, go watch a movie.